So with everyone talking about what's next for Fox and Sky, it's safe to say that you know all of the players intimately. You used to run Fox, and you actually advised Comcast on its acquisition of NBC Universal.
That was a long time ago.
A long time ago, but you know the players.
I do know the players.
Which of these potential buyers, Disney or Comcast, is better suited as a buyer for Fox?
Well, I think that, look, at the end of the day, whoever executes is the better buyer. You know, I think that they both bring very different things to the party. You know, I think Disney brings what is at this point arguably the best content in the world to Fox, and you know, I think their idea is to combine that with Fox. I think the goal for all these people is to build a meaningful direct-to-consumer business. So Disney could combine Fox with their own great content in Marvel and Lucasfilm and Pixar, etc. I think what Comcast brings is solid content in Universal and NBC, but 25, 30 million direct customers, existing customers, who are already have a billing relationship with a direct. So I think they're two very different things. I think Disney would have a content head start, and Comcast would have a distribution head start. And then ultimately, it's a function of who executes better.
Now, of course, there's a question of what's going to happen next if Comcast will make another offer. Disney, of course, already has that $71 billion deal in place. What will it take for Comcast and Brian Roberts to woo and to win over Rupert Murdoch?
Well, first of all, I think, you know, at the end of the day, this is the entire shareholders, because, you know, when it goes to a shareholder vote, Rupert has voting shares, but those voting shares convert into ordinary shares for a shareholder vote. So it's ultimately winning over the shareholders. I think that it probably is, it's clearly a higher bid because I assume shareholders perceive there to be some greater regulatory risk with Disney. And I assume there are some shareholders who prefer the tax implications of a partial stock, partial cash bid on Disney. So I assume it's got to be meaningful, but whether that's 5% more, 10% more, you know, who knows?
But so do you know Rupert Murdoch, do you think he's set on Disney at this point?
I think every indication is that Rupert prefers Disney. I think that he believes in Bob's vision more. I think he probably likes the idea of getting Disney stock and being a large shareholder in Disney. But I do think that Rupert is not quite as, Rupert's a meaningful voice. You know, I think he has about, what, 17, 18% of the economics votes, but it's not 30, 40% of the votes.
And do you think that Brian Roberts could change his mind?
I think with enough cash, absolutely.
With enough cash. And what about Sky? Who ends up getting Sky?
Well, I think that this is in some ways a game of three-dimensional chess, and it is ultimately, you know, it's weird because everybody talks about saying who wins. You know, this is not winning, it's who wants to bid more money for it. And I think who has a bigger appetite, who's willing to take on more debt to do it, who's willing to constrain their balance sheet. And I think there's still a couple of rounds to go.
A couple of rounds to go, and if you were a shareholder, which deal would you be more likely to approve, or which deal would you prefer?
I'd take whichever one was higher.
The higher price.
Right. I'm not a very complex guy.
Now, of course, you and with Otter Media have been in business with AT&T for years. You know Randall Stephenson very well, and you encouraged him to buy Time Warner, which is worth noting now that that deal has finally closed. Now that the deal is closed and they're working on integrating these two companies, are you concerned about a culture clash? No.
First of all, I think that one thing I say is that deal looks really good, given the context of the price of Fox. I think that looks like a remarkably valuable deal and a remarkably smart deal. It took them a long time to get there, but I think that as you see the price of media assets escalating, that looks really good. I don't see, look, they have been, Randall's been a close friend, but I've been really close partnered with John, Stanky, and Randall for the past, I guess it's about 3.5 years. And they've been terrific partners, very thoughtful, sensitive, and these are not unsophisticated guys. These are extremely sophisticated guys, and I think have a real sense of the nuances of the media business, and I think they'll be great stewards of it.
AT&T now owns 10% of Hulu, which you created years ago now. Right. Should AT&T try to buy more of Hulu? Is Hulu undervalued? Should they try to buy one of those 30% stakes owned by either Comcast or Disney?
Well, look, I think Hulu is wildly undervalued, and I think the real question is whoever gets to consolidate it and gets to largely control it. So I assume that the Fox piece goes to whoever wins between Comcast and Disney. They will have 60%, and I assume they're not a seller. at that point.
You think there would not be a seller?
I don't think there'll be a seller.
Would you want AT&T to try to buy more? I mean, is that something that would benefit
I don't
AT&T?
think it necessarily, no, I don't think it benefits to buy more unless you can get over 50%. And B, as I think it's clear that AT&T will use HBO as their direct-to-consumer platform.
Do you think HBO has a chance to really rival Netflix or Amazon Prime Video in that video space, direct-to-consumer video space?
I guess what I would say is of the up-and-coming players, I think HBO is the single best positioned player. You know, they already have 30 million US subs, another 50, 60 million global subs. They have 4 or 5 direct-to-consumer subs in the US, but they've got an extraordinarily valuable brand name. And I think, I think at the core of and I don't want to speak for them, but in my opinion, at the core of the AT&T Time Warner merger is the opportunity to take all of that Time Warner content with the HBO brand name and try and figure out ways to grow it with the existing 100+ million AT&T direct-to-consumer subscribers.
Well, certainly a fascinating time for you and all these companies that you've worked with, and AT&T, your current partner in Otter Media. Peter Chernin, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us here in Sun Valley. Melissa, back over to you.
All right, thank you, Julian. Thank you, Peter. Beautiful backdrop there. There's a lot of traffic, surprisingly.
I thought Sun Valley was a quiet
whizzing
place.
by. How do you think this shakes out?
So when you look at we all know the story. We all think we know the story of the lay of the land. So Fox is up 38% year to date. That one looks like it's running into a wall. Disney is a trade-bound range up at the upper end of the trade. CBS, to me, looks like it's breaking out. So if I was a buyer in the space, I would still put new dollars to work in CBS. Let's not forget about the one that ties this whole thing in. Netflix has recreated the entire space, up 118% year to date, probably still has more juice left in the tank.
You know what we did yesterday here on the show? No. We did Matchmaker. We did Matchmaker with the media stocks. You're gallivanting around Wyoming doing this and that.
Funny, that's the backside of Wyoming where they are, the other side of the Teton Mountains. What would I say to what?
The
Sorry to digress.
matchmaking, what combination would you like to see come out of Sun Valley?
Ooh, what would I like to see? I'd like to see Discovery Communications. I'd love to see somebody grab that, although it's just an initiated neutral at Credit Suisse. I'm with Steve, though, on CBS, and Tom Rogers sat next to Tim Seymour a month and a half ago when CBS was trading 50, and he said, I don't know exact word, but grossly undervalued. Stocks rallied 18% since, and I think if Fox deserves the valuation they get, CBS deserves at least a 12 multiple.
I think what we're learning here is that Disney doesn't necessarily have to do this deal. There's pieces of this deal that they could do. But the bottom line is Disney's got a lot more cash to throw at this problem. But have you heard anybody say that they're going to be better?
A lot more cash for Disney or a lot more cash than Comcast?
Well, a lot more cash than Comcast. I think
at the moment.
They have more balance sheet flexibility than Comcast, it appears to me. But do you hear anybody saying that throwing more cash at this isn't a problem? I mean, most people are saying, I'm not sure whoever wins this deal wins. And I think that's still a way to approach that.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.